Hi children, good morning everyone. In today's class of biology, I am going to revise the first lesson, that is what is science, and the cell, the basic unit of life, which is the part of your FA1 portion. Okay children, in the first lesson, as we have seen about the science, its uses, you know it, what is science? Science is a organized study of knowledge to find the truths of nature. It is the way to explore the world. You know very well, isn't it? So we have studied different definitions under the science and uses of science, as it is a need for everyone to lead a comfortable life. Science has persisted as for leading a comfortable life, and it has served a lot in the field of education and also the medicine, agriculture, transport and communication skills. So lot of developments are being made. Science as a field that we can say as a subject of dynamism, we can say that it is ever changing. So science is continuously changing. So it is not static at one place, or we cannot say that a science which tells us the truths of nature is static. It continuously changes with the changing situations and the discoveries and concepts that the scientists make over their knowledge that they possess from time to time. So science is changing from time to time, we can say, and it reveals the facts. It reveals the facts based on the experimentation and proof. Okay, so that is called as science. It is generally the scientific investigations are made for the individual perspective and also on the societal perspective also. For individual perspective, that gives them the joy to overcome, that is to know the fact or to learn about the new things, or it also helps on the societal perspective, if you think so, for the overall development of the society in different fields. Science is very much helping, we can say. So the need of science is very much essential for various fields, various fields of the country and also the society. Okay, so in this way we can say that science is useful for many of us, and also it is for the society, it is very much useful for its development. And in this, the scientist, in this way of finding or exploring the world, in finding the truths, they follow certain steps, or in order to solve the problem, they follow some steps which are called as the steps of scientific method. So the steps involve the observing, that is first observation, that is identifying the problem, and while identifying the problem they observing is the main step in the scientific method, we can say. So scientific method is a very important thing, where a solution is being found out. In scientific method is a way to find the solution to a problem, in which it involves some steps, namely identifying the problem. It is the first step it involves. Next, making hypothesis. Collection of the data. Thirdly, it is collection of data. Fourth involves analysis of the data. Both involves experimentation process. Plan an experiment and conduct an experiment. This is the third and fourth steps which involves the collection of data and analyzing of the data, and conduct an experiment is the experimentation. Okay, so plan an experiment. Here, under the plan an experiment, we can say for planning an experiment, it leaves the collection of data and analyzing about the data collected. That is about the planning an experiment. Then analysis of data includes about the plan and experiment, and then experimentation, conduct an experiment. Here this is a conduction of the experiment. Next step, this is a flow chart following the steps in the scientific method. After experimentation, application of the results. Application of the results. It is based on the hypothesis. So first, it is application of results. After getting the results, you have to conclude whether our hypothesis, that is whatever we planned, the problem, the solution for a problem, it is correct or not. So that is the conclusion of the hypothesis. Application of result. After the result you get, in conclusion or hypothesis is being made. A possible answer that is to be tested is called as hypothesis. So that answer, whether it is correct or not, is being calculated here after you get the result from the experiment. Is it clear? Then after concluding about the hypothesis, confirming the result, we will confirmation of the result. Result will be confirmed. Then communication. From this it is being communicated. After confirming, we have to communicate it. Communication of result. Communicating the result or communication of results. So of the result. These are the steps of the scientific method you have to follow. One is identifying the problem, then making hypothesis, that is possible answer that is to be tested, then collection of the data and analysis of the data comes under the planning the experiment, then experimentation, application of the results, conclusion of hypothesis, confirmation of the result, and communicating the result. So whatever you get, you will be communicating it, you will be saying it, the result. That is called as, these are the steps that are followed in the scientific method. This is the flow chart that is followed in the scientific method. And the generalization is the conclusion that is made based on the experimentation, the answer or the solution that you get based on the experimentation and the results. What the result you get, that the solution is being explained, or explaining the solution for a problem based on the experimentation and the result is called as generalization. At last you make the generalization, that is the solution for a problem that is being made out based on the experimentation and the result that you get. Is it clear? That is called as generalization. That is explaining the solution based on the experimentation and the result is called as generalization. Explaining the solution. Explaining the solution to a problem. Explaining the solution to the problem based on experimentation and result. Based on experimentation and result. It is called as generalization. Hope you have understood what is this now. And what are scientific process skills? I have also already explained you. They are the thinking tools where the scientists use to solve the problem, or they use in their scientific method of investigation. These are the thinking tools to solve a problem where the scientists use in the order of their investigation of their scientific method. These are the scientific process skills. I hope you have understood this lesson well. And moving to the lesson, the cell, the basic unit of life. So in this, mainly, moreover, some of the questions, if you see about the, any other questions that you have, any doubt, you can ask me through the WhatsApp, or you can contact me directly also, children. And so the next question is about the biologist, ecologist, climatologist, and so on and so forth. So you can answer the different scientists who belong to what they perform. A scientist who studies the living organisms and their internal cells or internal tissues, internal organs and all, he is called as a biologist. And ecologist, a scientist who studies about the territorial behavior of the bluebirds, is called as an ecologist, that is environment. He studies the environment, is called as an ecologist. And who is a geologist? A geologist studies the distribution of fossils under the earth's crust. He is called as a geologist. Climatologist. A climatologist collects the data and interprets the data, the changes that occurs in the weather. Data and interprets the data with that of the changes that occurs in the weather. He is called as climatologist. So weather report, everything is given by him. Okay, he is a climatologist. So astrophysicist, astrology, is a space physics. He deals with the space physics, that is the galaxies. He studies about the changes in the galaxies that occurs in the galaxy. That he takes the photographs of the distant galaxies and studies about them. He is called as astrophysicist. Next, coming to the nucleophysicist. Nucleophysicist and astrophysicist. Astrophysicists deal with astrophysics, that is nuclear, that is space physics, and nuclear physicist deals with the results of the angular momentum. He records the results of the angular momentum of a particular particle rotating in a circular path. So he is known as a nuclear physicist. Like this, you can learn about the different scientists who work for the development and betterment of the society. Okay, in various fields. Next, coming to the different questions over this lesson is the safety methods that are involved in the scientific lab or the science lab. Here you have already learned about the safety methods, like you have to be neat first, you have to think ahead. Before entering into the lab, you have to know what you are doing. So you think ahead what you are doing. That is the foremost important things that you have to understand about. So here the safety methods in the scientific lab. Safety methods in science lab. In the science lab, moreover, you generally, first when you enter into the science lab, you have to think ahead what you are going to do. What is it? You have to think about it. So study the steps of investigation and do it accordingly. So what to do? What to expect? So you know what to expect. So that is to be done earlier. That is think ahead. Then be neat. Be neat in the sense, keep the work area of the science lab very neat. Okay, so you be neat and keep the area where you are doing the investigation or the experiment should be kept neat. That is be neat. And third one is oops. It's an exclamatory situation in which it tells us not to break any glass particle or anything or spit anything in the science lab. So you should not spill or spit. That is glass particles in the science lab consist of a lot of glass particles, the glass equipment, and also you have to be very careful in science lab without breaking them. Well, you have to be very careful while holding the glassware. So if anything happens unfortunately or accidentally, you have to subject it to the particular teacher. So inform to the teacher in the lab. And the fourth point of this is watch your eyes. So you have to keep your eyes very careful in this while working in the laboratory. You can use the goggles, that is to cover your eyes and to be safe. And you should not, you should be very careful not to let any particle to fall in your eyes. So you are directed to do so. If any particle falls into your eyes, you have to inform to your teacher and be careful and take necessary precautions. Okay, so wear safety goggles. Next, fifth point is yuck, which means you should not, it's a bad manner where you say that you should not eat or drink in the science lab. It's a very bad habit and you should avoid it. Okay, you should not taste also without the taste the chemicals in the lab or doing the testing equipment without the permission of the particular teacher. That is yuck. Okay, and next sixth point you have to learn is don't get shocked. In science labs, both in physics, you have the electrical equipment. You have to work with the electrical equipment over there, where you should be very careful with the wires, electrical wires, plug boards, everything, or the plug and the socket or the plug points and the cords to be in the or arranged in the proper manner or not. You have to see properly whether they are arranged or not, and then you have to carefully discard them when you are removing the plugs from the cords from the plug points and so on. So it leads to the shockages. So it should be avoided. Be careful while using the electrical equipment. That is to be taken care of. Seventhly, you have to keep the work area also very clean after the experiment. So keep it clean. First be neat, keep it clean. After doing the experiment, the work area should be cleaned and all the equipment should be properly cleaned and placed in its position. So that is the main thing, or the safety rules and the main rules that are to be followed in the science lab. What are the rules? Think ahead. Think ahead of what you are going to do. Be neat, keep yourself neat and the work area neat, that where you are doing the experiment. Oops, you shall not spill or break the equipment in the lab. Watch your eyes. Cover your eyes with the safety goggles. Wear the safety goggles and be safe. And if any particle falls in your eyes, inform your teacher. Yuck! You should not drink or eat anything in the science lab and while doing the experiments also. And if you have to taste anything in the scientific lab, you have to take the permission of the teacher and do it. Okay, ma? And next, don't get shocked. Keep the electrical equipment and the electrical cords in a proper position before doing the experiment. See whether they are in the proper position or not and do the experiment, and do not get shocks. Okay, so that is the care to be taken while using the electrical equipment. And next, keep the work area clean after doing the experiment. You have to keep the equipment and all the things in the proper position neatly. So that is the things or the rules to be followed in the science lab. Hope you have understood this, children. And next, we'll proceed to the next lesson about the cell, the basic unit of life. Okay, in coming to this, the cell, the basic unit of life. Here, it's very important thing about who discovered the cell, about Robert Hooke and Robert Brown, who discovered the nucleus. So when they discovered the microscope, and who discovered the microscope, when did the nucleus and the cell were discovered by the Robert Brown and Robert Hooke, and in which cells, that is, where did the Robert Hooke discover the cell, and where did the Robert Brown discover the nucleus? Everything you have to keep in mind. Okay, and next, coming to in the cell, the basic unit of life. Cell, the basic unit of life. The important things that you have to keep in mind is about you can say, that is the plant cell and animal cell. Differences between the plant cell and animal cell. Differences between plant cell and animal cell. And coming to the next question mainly is about which is the longest cell in all the animals. You can say that it is human nerve cell. So in all the animals, egg of ostrich. In human beings, it is human nerve cell. Okay, egg of ostrich is the biggest one. Cell of egg of ostrich. And now coming to the next question is, I'll say, so if you observe the leaves of different your surroundings and the shapes of the epidermal cells under the microscope, if it is a hibiscus, it is of oval shaped or wedge shaped, isn't it? It is like this, isn't it? Hibiscus. It will be like oval or wedge shaped, the leaves, isn't it? Hibiscus leaves. And the cells are rectangular in shape. If you have seen the cells of cork cells of matchstick, they are dead cells, isn't it? So you can see the cells are in the form of rectangular, like this, with cytoplasm and nucleus at the periphery. Okay, nucleus at the periphery, you will be seeing. So this is of the cork cells or the matchstick cells, also the same thing. You can see the rectangular cells. And the cells in the plant cell, you can see that it contains the cell wall, and in the animal cell you can see only the cell membrane but not the cell wall. In plant cell and animal cell, that is the main difference that you find out in both of them. Okay children, and while you find the difference in the, what do you find the difference between the onion peel cells and the chick cells? Onion peel cells are the plant cells in which you find the cell wall, and they are rectangular in shape, isn't it? These are onion peel shells. You can easily draw them well. These are onion peel cells. Nucleus is at the periphery. It contains the cytoplasm. Nucleus is at the periphery. These are onion peel cells. If you see the chick cells, they are irregular, they are not compactly arranged like the onion peel cells. They are irregular. Nucleus is arranged at the center. Cytoplasm contains cytoplasm. This is cytoplasm. And here in the onion peel cells, it contains the double layer membrane where it is the cell wall is present, which is other layer around the cell membrane. You can see other membrane called as the cell wall. Cell wall gives rigidity to the plant cell, and it gives it helps for the rigidity and supports it from being swelling or taking excess of water. If it swells, the plant dies. Okay, so it helps in the rigidity of the cell. It contains the cell wall, where the animal cell contains the cell membrane. Cell membrane. It gives shape and size or the support to the cell. Cell membranes give shape and support to the cell in the animal cell. So this is the plant cell, and that is onion. This is onion peel cell, and in plant cell you can see. You can see the cell wall in the plant cell. Okay, it's a double layer as I have shown you earlier. You can draw this easily. Okay, children. So here this is a plant cell, children. It is a double layer. It contains the cell wall, cell membrane. Second layer is the cell membrane, and inner one. This is a long elongator. This complete one is a vacuole, foot vacuole. This is the dense body at the periphery. It is the nucleus. It is nucleus, and this is the cytoplasm in the cell. So these are the cell organelles in the plant cell. Whereas in animal cell you find the cell organelles surrounding the nucleus. Inside the nucleus there is a nucleoplasm. This is a nuclear membrane, nucleus. This is the cell membrane. What is this? This is the cell membrane. Only single cell layer of the membrane is present, which gives shape to the cell. This is the nucleus in the center of the cell, where here in the plant cell it is at the periphery. Okay, hope you have understood the differences between the plant cell and the animal cell now. You have to write the differences between plant and animal cell. Next question in this lesson, which you can proceed well, is about the what is the cell organelle which gives mechanical strength in the plant cell? I have already told you that it is the cell wall. Very good. Next, coming to how do you define the shape of the amoeba? Amoeba is irregular in shape. It is irregular. It doesn't have a definite shape. Okay, there is a nucleus in the center and with the nucleoplasm, contractile vacuole, and that is the foot vacuole or the contractile vacuole with the cytoplasm inside. These are the cell organelles, and it contains a pseudopodia, which means a false foot. Pseudo means false, podia means foot. Okay, children, so this is the cytoplasmic granules inside the cytoplasm. Okay, so these protrusions like this. These protrusions are called as pseudo. P is silent here, children. Pseudopodia. It is pseudopodia, which means false feet. These pseudopodia in amoeba, it helps for taking in food and also for locomotion. For food and it helps for food and locomotion, means for movement. These pseudopodia helps for food and taking food and for moving for amoeba. What is amoeba? It is a unicellular organisms. You know very well that the living organisms are categorized into unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. Amoeba comes under unicellular organisms, and multicellular organism where higher organisms include the fishes and human beings and higher animals come under the multicellular organisms. Amoeba, chlamydomonas, bacteria, these are all are unicellular organisms. Hope you know very well about them, and in fact the amoeba is irregular in shape and it can move with the help of the pseudopodia, which often changes its shape. It is not regular. The shape is not constant in amoeba. And next, coming to the question about the unicellular and multicellular organisms and the differences is that in unicellular organisms like amoeba, all the life processes like ingestion, digestion, respiration, excretion and all these the metabolic processes are performed by a single cell. They are performed by single cell. Whereas in the multicellular organisms, all the metabolic activities or the life processes are performed by the different cells, that is different functions are performed by the variety of the cells in multicellular organisms. So this is the difference between the unicellular and multicellular organisms. And next, coming to the question, how will you prepare a slide without drying, that you have already learnt in the first preparation of the microscopic slide, isn't it? So that is you have to take a object, place it, or that is to be tested, to be placed over the slide, then keep put a drop of glycerin or water over it and add a drop of glycerin and cover with the cover slip. When you add a drop of glycerin, the object that is to be visualized will not dry quickly, and the particles inside it can be observed clearly for a longer period. Is it clear? So that is why the objects are being added with the glycerin or safranin or any other chemical dyes are used to identify the parts clearly, and glycerin is used not to dry the object quickly. Is it clear? So that is the case in which the slide is being added with the glycerin while preparing the slide, that you have to write according to the points I have told you earlier. Next, draw the diagrams of human chick cells and onion peel cells. I have explained you, and under the microscope, what you have observed under the microscope, you can do it. And the next question is differences between the plant cell and the animal cell, and draw the neat diagrams of the plant cell and animal cell. And this I can also learn about the different questions in this lesson related to the that that is what are the different types of cells that you observe. It is RBC, WBC, nerve cell, muscle cell, etc. RBC are round in shape, and you observe in RBC only the cell membrane and the cytoplasm. But in WBC you can see the cell membrane, nucleus, that is nucleus in the WBC is lobed. Okay, cytoplasm, and you can see the different cell organelles also in WBC. In the muscle cell, nerve cells also you find these all, that is apart from the nucleus and the cytoplasm, you can see the nerve, that is the cell organelles, and also the cell membrane and cytoplasm. You can see the nucleus and cell organelles in the nerve cell and the bone cells also. And in the white blood cell also you can see all of them, and the nucleus is lobed in the white blood cells. Are there any similarity between the shape of the cells of different cells that in the human body? We can say that different cells like muscle cell, nerve cell, bone cell, they are all different shapes. Some are oval in shape, some are elongated in shape, some are pointed at both ends like smooth muscle cell, like that. And if you see the nerve cell, it has branches to transmit the messages from the brain to different parts of the body. So you can say that there are differences in the different cells of our body, and the size of the cell varies from each other, and it depends upon, it is related to its function where it is present. That is, the size of the cell is related to its function and depends upon the size of the organism depends upon the number of the cell, but not the size of the cells. Is it clear, children? So that is about the lesson, the cell, the basic unit of life. If you have any doubts, contact me personally and clarify your doubts, children. Thank you. Stay safe at home, prepare for the exam well, and do well. Okay, all the best. Thank you, children.